Welcome to The Explainer, where we distill powerful stories into their essential parts. So today we're diving into the memoir of Geraldine Lavelle, an absolutely incredible story of will called When the Apple is Ready, It Will Fall. I chose to live, not survive. That single, powerful choice is really at the heart of Geraldine Lavelle's entire memoir. It's a choice that would define her journey through unimaginable hardship and ultimately lead her to a whole new definition of hope. So let's go back. Our story begins on October 31st, 2013. A catastrophic cycling accident results in a spinal cord injury, and just like that, Geraldine is paralyzed from the chest down. But as she writes, the physical trauma, that was just the beginning. She was about to face a whole list of challenges. I mean, any one of these would be enough to break a person. But one by one, they failed to break her spirit. Think about this for a second. She was left with only 15% of her muscle function. She was facing this completely new reality, one that would force her to redefine the very meaning of life itself. And this new reality, it sparked this profound internal battle. It wasn't just about physical recovery, but about a really fundamental question. What's the difference between simply existing and truly living? And Geraldine makes this crucial distinction. For her, surviving is it's just keeping on because you haven't died yet. But living, that's an active choice. It's choosing to embrace all of life's textures, the bitter and the sweet. So she discovered that the key to living wasn't about avoiding pain. That's impossible. It was about fostering resilience, that amazing capacity to get back up after we inevitably fall. But here's where things get really interesting. She found that one of our most treasured emotions, hope, could actually be a double-edged sword. It's a sentiment echoed by the philosopher Nietzsche, and for Geraldine, this wasn't just philosophy, it was a painful, lived reality. Which leads to this pretty fascinating question, right? Can the very thing we're always told to cling to in dark times actually cause us harm? For her, this kind of hope became what she called a venomous snake. Why? Because it kept her fixated on a past that was gone. It was just consuming all her energy, and it was preventing her from accepting and actually building the life that was still right there in front of her. Okay, so once she started to win that internal battle, she had to face an entirely new one on the outside, a decade-long fight against a rigid and frankly indifferent bureaucracy. Her fight for the simple right to live independently in her own home wasn't a matter of months. It was a grueling 10-year marathon. Just think about that for a second. An entire decade. And the core of that 10-year conflict, it came down to this gap. To live safely in her own home, she needed 56 hours of care a week. The system offered 42, pointing to budget limits where the typical maximum was only 14 hours. But this struggle, it was about so much more than just logistics. It was a fight against the very culture of institutionalization, which, as she says, is the enemy of personal control. So what happened? Through sheer persistence, taking her story to politicians, to the media, you name it, the funding for her full care package was suddenly approved. It proved her fight wasn't against something impossible, it was against inertia. So what's the result of winning these monumental battles, both on the inside and the outside? It's the chance to rebuild, but you have to wonder, in the darkest moments of that whole fight, what was it that kept her going? She credits this simple, powerful advice from her father for helping her endure those darkest moments. Sometimes the simplest words really are the most profound. But the true turning point, the real moment things shifted, came when she finally let go. By releasing the hope of walking again, she could finally, fully embrace the life that was still possible. And that's when the surviving stopped and the living began. And now, Geraldine has found a new purpose. She's using her experience to advocate for other people with disabilities, to try and make sure they don't have to fight the same battles that she did. Her entire journey, from this awful tragedy all the way to becoming this fierce advocate, it all circles back to that first powerful choice. And it leaves us with a profound question, not just for her, but for all of us. In the face of our own challenges, will we choose to survive or will we choose to truly live?